We're following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL is Willie Mason.
That's forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie and the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 2. I'm not going to say Season 2. I'm just going to say Episode 2. Episode 2. Welcome to The Take with Willie Mason.
And Ian.
Oh, yeah, Willie and
Ian.
Sorry.
It's new. It's new, guys.
It's new. Well, I'll tell you what else is new, Will.
What's up?
We are very, very proud to announce that we have got a new sponsor.
Yes.
Which is bettingsite.com.au.
Okay.
So what we are going to do this year, obviously, is one of the best things we did last year was being able to give money away to those junior clubs, to Bungendore and to Frankston, who we still are going to go down and see. But what bettingsite.com.au does is it basically takes all of the odds from all of the different betting companies and it collates them and it gives you what you can get your best odds on. So you're not tied to one specific one, you're tied to all of them together. So they find you the best one. So with your 500 leg multis, William,
Good luck.
that's, I don't know. I hope that they have a very liberal view of your multis.
Yeah, it's only a joke. Until I win. It's a running joke until I win and just buy an island
That's a big
and retire from everything.
That's a big until.
No more shows. Just
You can't
the
retire
Take
from
with
this.
Ian. That's it.
What
How
I
does
don't
that
get-
sound? Sounds awful.
What, I'm not coming to your island?
No, not
It's
yet.
nice.
Not yet.
There's cracks in paradise already. How's your week been, Will?
Pretty cruisy, actually. Got a few things on, obviously, with the season starting this week. There's a few more commitments, and obviously with the show going so well, and I actually have to do some work before we get here. So that's about my whole week. Train a few little young kids, mentor them and train them, and their season's starting to kick off. And, yeah, a little bit busy.
Last week I was on a liver detox, as you remember.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Well, do you know what? It went really well for 4 days, and then we went out on Saturday night, and let me tell you,
What a
my
great
liver's
night.
in.
What a great night.
My liver is much worse than when I started the detox. But anyway, I'm on the beers today, so it'll
That's
be
all
fine. All right, so I think we'll just get straight into it.
Yeah, mate.
Actually, this week there has been. Well, we were going to talk about a number of things, but in news just to hand, breaking news, William, Cameron Smith has just declared that he is kaput. He's finally admitted that he's giving away the career. He's no longer playing professional rugby league. He is off into the sunset to enjoy the fruits of the last 20 years of his life.
Yeah.
And I, for one, think
Where do you rank him?
I think he's one of the greats, definitely.
I think he's one of the greats as well. If I think there was a few little things all around on social media, like Joey, Cam Smith, and JT. I reckon they're the three people on, I would say Mount Rushmore, but we need one more person. Probably put Wally Lewis up there. You know what I mean? Of this era, who do you reckon? Because that's the debate right now. That's the debate. Just say out of three. Just say you throw Darren Lockyer up there or Mal Meninga on Mount Rushmore. Then who do you pick out of that?
Well, the interesting thing for me, all of those people that you named, name a forward. It's all backs.
Yeah, I suppose they get most of the shine. I mean, Cam Smith is a forward, but he's the only one.
He's
pretty
the only
much,
one.
only number 9. But I think I get it with Joey and Darren Lockyer, Mal Meninga. They're the guys who just absolute freaks, especially in the last 30 years.
And they broke a game. So if you look at when a game's on the line, you're halfback or you're 5'8", or to some extent if you've got, I guess, a terrific ball runner like Meninga, but you look to them to do something.
And this is what separates Cam Smith from the backs and everything. His game management and how he used to win games through his forwards.
That's right.
And making the right decision. Before it was just like the 9 give it to the superstar 7 or 6 and they'd win the game.
And they'd win you the game.
Now it went through Cam Smith. He'd make the decisions. He'd make the exact right plays at the exact right time and make the best decisions and usually come away winning. So I think that's what separates him from other 9s.
Yeah.
His game management. I mean, I look at it and go, well, he pretty much is first in every single category. Tests, origins, wins. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to go through them all. He's won everything. And I go, what separates him from a Danny Badiris? If I picked a team, I would pick Danny Medeiros in front of him. And I've said that publicly because I love playing with Beds. I was fortunate enough to play with these guys in their peak. So I actually know what they can play and play against them. And Joey and Freddie and Lockyer and all these blokes I was blessed to play with and against them for nearly my whole career. And I just would pick Danny Medeiros because he was my sort of style of player.
Yeah.
You know, like he was a bit different than Cam Smith. Cam Smith, if I wanted someone to manage the game and get through the game and set the field goal up or get the right kick and all that sort of stuff, I'll pick Cam Smith. But if I've got Andrew Johns and I've got Jonathan Thurston and Darren Lockyer in the team, I don't need a ridiculous 9 like that. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. And I don't know. I just think, Bedsie's defence was a lot more stout. Like Cam Smith, and I think Cam Smith has been through and been in the best systems possible in the last 20 years of rugby league.
Yeah.
Melbourne Storm, probably the best club in Australian sports. Queensland, arguably Australia's greatest team.
For that period of time.
And the Australian Kangaroos from 2006 to 2017 or 18 when he retired. Teams that rarely get beat, and he was a catalyst, and he was the main dude pretty much in all those sides. So the systems that he's with, they didn't create him around him, but then they got Cooper Cronk and they got GI and all these other fantastic players. It made his job a lot easier when you're playing with superstar players. Like he didn't just have your normal, half a decent, 200 gamers. He had Hall of Famers playing with him, arguably immortals, Billy Slaters, the Cooper Cronks and GI and all these guys in their prime, and then go into Queensland team and arguably the greatest Australian team of all, Australian side of all time. You know what I mean? Like with JT, he still had like Darren Lockyer and all these sort of freaks. He had that team. Then Melbourne Storm, then the Australian team pretty much is ridiculous. And that's the way I look at it. He had probably the best career of anyone ever. But I just don't think he's that. When you go, he's the greatest player ever. I think he's the greatest game manager. He's not the greatest player because I look at Greg Inglis and go, that's how fucking rugby league players should run. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a different. Depends what you put as a rugby league player. You might look at Brad Fittler, like he's your ultimate rugby league player. Pass both ways, kick both feet. You might look at Andrew Johns, Darren Lockyer as your rugby league player. But people don't look at Cam Smith and go, damn, he's not a tackle buster. He's not an unbelievable defensive player, but he will manage games. You know what I mean? So eyeball test, you're going, if you show someone from the NFL or America, go, that's our greatest rugby league player. You show him clips of GI or you show him clips of Cam Smith or Billy Slater. It's the eyeball test to people, and people who understand the game like myself and people who listen to this show, they'll know. Do you know what I mean? They will actually know. They're like, yeah, Cam Smith's a great player, but is he the greatest player? Not in my eyes. He's up there. He's easily on Mount Rushmore.
I reckon one thing that I don't think he got enough credit for, if you look at the way the game changed last year in terms of the rule changes and how much quicker it was, sides generally don't have 80-minute hookers. Like you got Damien Cook, there's a couple, but mate, he was 512 years old and he was an 80-minute hooker.
Top three
in the whole season.
Top three player in the comp.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Dally M, captain of the year.
Yeah,
captain of the year. Won the grand final, and it's ridiculous. What he did last year is probably the icing on the cake.
And I reckon the frustrating thing for me is that I like Cameron Smith. I don't all this whole narrative about him being an arsehole or whatever. I don't buy into
jealousy.
It, but I look at if he'd have just come out after the grand final and he said, that I'm done, then none of this, there wouldn't be this pile on.
I think of things like, how about we give him his fucking time and 100%. Let him make his mind up? He doesn't have to sit there and give the media what they want. Like, I think he should have retired after the grand final. You don't know what this kid's going through. He's still arguably one of the best players in the world at the time. He's going back, knowing that he probably can't go back to Melbourne because he's told him that he will move on.
Yeah.
And then he probably finds himself, am I ready to retire? Do you know how hard it is to fucking retire? You think you just can make that shit up? You know what I mean? Like it's so hard for a person like himself and every other player who's retired. It's not a daily thing. You got to give it amount of time, and it's today that he's made his decision. So be it.
Yeah.
Why can't we just respect the fact that he's a human being, and because we haven't got any footage or anything from him or any statement saying I'm going to do this and this. That's what the media just pissed off about because they didn't get their story.
Yeah. I never officially retired. I just didn't turn up and no one rang me. And no one seemed to care.
And he's just like a normal dude, Cam Smith. He
Yeah.
doesn't want all the bullshit that comes with it.
Yeah.
He will settle down on the Gold Coast, do whatever the hell he wants for the rest of his life. He's deserved that.
And
well done on a career.
Yeah, we wish him all the best here. I know he'd be a big fan of the show.
He's a huge fan. He actually wanted to come on and retire on this show, but I said, no, just do it for Channel 9. You know, they need the ratings.
Do it when you get your statue.
Yeah, get a statue.
Where would you be statue?
It's good. It's a good statue.
I don't know.
Would you be filthy if you're Cooper Cronk? Sorry.
No, look, I get it with Cooper Cronk. Cooper Cronk.
Yeah, why? Why do you get it? What?
Well,
how do you get it?
I take it whatever I can.
Yeah.
I can see I can see why Cooper Cronk. You know, he should have got a statue, but he left to the Roosters. Slater and Smith are both one team players.
How many clubs do you need? How many club games? 320?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, I know, but still, he won a comp for 2 years in a row for another club.
That would have killed Melbourne.
Yeah.
If he had went to the West Tigers,
yeah,
he's getting a statue.
He gets a statue.
That's what's fucked about it. That's the way I look into things. It's not the fact that he left. He left and he won.
Yeah. Well, he's a life member at the Roosters now, thanks to Uncle Nick. After 2 years, there's plenty of blokes there. So good on him. He's backed the right horse as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of backing the right horse, with Cooper Cronk, there was, I don't know, I don't watch a lot of Fox, especially now they watch the.
Who does?
But that little interview that he did with,
I only see it because I follow Fox Sports on Instagram.
He just hammered him. It was unreal.
Come on, Buzz. Come on, Buzz.
And Buzz's little feelings for getting hurt too. He's like, I wasn't having a crack. He was like, he just got
Buzz got
hammered.
schooled. He got schooled. Hey, Cooper Cronk can do what he wants. Well, he even said, like, he's got a great relationship with everyone. And we were saying this off air. It's like, arguably two of the smartest people in the game. Trent Robinson, Craig Bellamy. Do you think that if you go to, you sign a contract with the Roosters, no, they full on knowing that you're going to go and help Melbourne? Do you think that conversation has not been put in a contract going, you can't go and help anyone else? If they think it's a threat, of course they're going to put that in there. Obviously they don't, because it's not going to happen. And has he got Trent Robinson's black little book, and has he got bellies and telling them all their secrets? No. And if he's going down there trying to tell these halves how to play, mate.
If people don't think that players talk, and that they're friends outside of the game, and if he's down there going to the Storm blokes, here's the Roosters game plan, they're going to say to their mates at the Roosters, you know what, you might want to pull Cooper's head in, because it just doesn't happen.
It just baffles me. And Buzz should know better than that. I'm not sure if he's doing it for ratings, or he just wanted to get in under Cooper's skin, or just for a bit of clickbait. But it was fucking stupid, because he got schooled. He got absolutely schooled, and Cooper Cronk's right. And if you don't understand what's going on, it's pathetic. If you don't think, as you said, if you don't think rugby league players talk, we're fucking worse than the Kardashians. It's ridiculous. Shit gets around, like fucking. You'll have a whole meeting with a team, like you're bunkering down, and nobody's ever going to know this. Next minute, fucking journo's ringing. You're going, apparently this has happened.
Yeah.
Fucking people just talk just for the fucking sake of it. It's bullshit.
Leakiest joint ever.
Oh, mate.
I think the thing that I liked the best was at the end of that, and one of them, I don't know, Icon or whoever the other bloke is, Kent maybe goes,
Kunta Kente.
Are you two all right? And Cooper Cronk just goes, no, we're not.
I love Coops. He's a savage. Mate, people are ridiculous. I thought Buzz would be smarter than that. He's not.
Did you really?
Yeah, I thought he would have done his homework and actually thought like us, going, you know what? He's a great player. He's retired. He can go and help whoever he wants.
Yeah.
That would be my mindset. And not you're contracted to the Roosters, isn't it? Like, I would never think there was a problem there. He can go. Would it be a problem if he was helping the Tigers? Well, or if just say if he was helping 5 clubs, like Andrew Johns helps a lot of clubs. At the end of his career, he was going around to clubs. He was helping all the halves out. So was Matty Johns. Why wasn't there any drama there? Because coaches know. You can trust these halves. They're coming down and teaching them their game, not other people's game plans, mate. This is not how the game goes. Joey used to come around to the Rooster train trying to teach Piercy all these things. And then look, he's like a hired gun, because you can't just waste a talent like that. Cooper Cronk is arguably one of the smartest kids to play the game. He's a student of the game. Why wouldn't he be going down trying to help these young halves? Everywhere he went, everywhere he goes. And I think it'd be bullshit not to extract all that knowledge out of these kids, like your JTs and Darren Lockyers. He's arguably some of the smartest people to ever play the game. Just going to leave him in the booth? No, got to get that shit out of them, because they're so fucking smart. It's smart from these other teams. They should be doing it more.
Speaking of popular players, there's been a bit of talk around. I think it was Kalen Ponga originally said, "Why don't you put the names on the jerseys like they do in Origin and like they do in the NFL and things like that." It's a funny one, because at the end of the day, the clubs own the jerseys, right? So the clubs have full say on what goes on those jerseys. So if you're Willie Mason and you're a popular player at the Bulldogs and then you go to the Roosters, then I don't know, wouldn't people just, if Willie Mason then goes to the Dogs and they've got a Willie Mason 8 and then they hate you and you're getting a police escort, don't they buy another Bulldogs jersey?
No. What year was that? I think I don't think people recognise. I'm not sure if the players do. We don't own our IP, our intellectual property. We don't own that. So they own our number. So that's why we don't get our numbers and names on the back like they do in the NFL. In Super League, you can get your name and number, and that's because they don't own. The players own their own IP. So until we get that, until the RLPA can negotiate that with the NRL, they're going to take and just get all these jerseys, as you said, the NRL and the clubs and that they get to keep that whatever jerseys they're selling. Gives a fuck. If you want a Sonny Bill jersey or a Kalen Ponga, you have to go in there, buy that jersey first, and go out there and get number 1 and Ponga put on the back.
Yeah,
that's what you have to do. If we own our own IP, we'd have our own number. You go into every club going, all right, I want to wear number 6 or 13 or whatever, and you could wear that possibly for the rest of your career. Do you know what I'm saying? Like Jordan did and LeBron and all those. So they get to choose. They get to pick and choose and say, look, I'm going to the Tigers. I'm going to wear 25. Do you know what I mean? So all the kids can go and have Mason 25 on the back and all that kind of stuff, and they buy it. And that's therefore you get money from that. You get a clip. You don't get shit because the NRL owns it. You know what I mean? So until you cross that bridge, I'm pretty sure these young players know because they'll be in contact with the RLPA, and they can get all that shit straight. But obviously, things get taken out of context. I'm not going to say Kalen Ponga wouldn't know or any of these young players, but that's the way they run with it. It's just a little bit of content. They put it on the fucking back page of the Telegraph and sell papers.
You know what? To be honest, he probably said, "Wouldn't that be cool?" And then
that's all he has to say. That's all he has to say. And KP, he's a smart little kid. He'd know. Most players know we don't own our IP because I was having these conversations 15, 16 years ago. You know, like we would have just say with our team with Sonny Bill and myself and Willie Tonga and all these, Jonathan Thurston. We all were thinking, who's making money off our jerseys? No one really gave we didn't care because people would come up and be wearing 11 Sonny Bill and 11 Mason and stuff like that. It was really weird. And number 8 O'Mealy and all this sort of shit. So that's when I started asking questions. Then someone said, "Look, we don't own our own IP, so unlucky, and we never will."
I'll tell you, a good one with you was the Willie wigs.
Yeah, that's a good sting, wasn't it?
There was 20,000 Willie wigs on the hill.
Yeah, what I got? Nothing.
Donut.
Nothing.
Donut.
They bought it
25,000.
25,000. I think that was probably one of the reasons why I shaved it off.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't getting any money. Sold 25,000. Just say they bought 25,000 for like
13 cents.
For 10. Just say 5 cents a thing and selling them for $20.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Fuck yourself.
Hair
gone.
They burned them all in 2009 though. 2008. One last thing, William.
Every one of them.
Belmore was just awash with burning wigs. Warriors, they obviously have given up a huge amount both this year and last year to come over and keep the comp going. Their CEO is saying, well, we're going to be here till at least June the 16th. What about next year? You give us 20 home games in a row.
One thing you can't put a price on is time and commitment and what they have done for the NRL. People get lost in it now because the season's kicked off, but it wouldn't be kicked off if the Warriors didn't commit last year, and they didn't commit this year. So I think the NRL, I think it was like $2.5 million a plan to host 20 NRL games next year. Why is this even a fucking argument? Like, I think Volandis is a reasonable man. The amount of money that we make every year that the game is making, I'm pretty sure he can go have that. Thanks for saving our comp. 2020 and 21. There you go. It should be just cut and paste. I'm not sure what other bullshit you have to go to, but obviously the rules have changed because look what the Warriors are doing for everyone. And I'm pretty sure if the Warriors come and spoke to every single NRL CEO from every club, they'll be like, "Yep, you have that game next year." Thank you. This should not be fucking hard. It'd be disgusting if we're actually having this conversation this time next year.
Because other clubs, they've just got to go over once,
Yeah,
whereas
mate,
they can
it sucks
stay
to
there.
go over there, but have a look how much these guys, like, I know how much it sucks going over New Zealand in the winter.
Clubs
It's
that have
terrible.
to anyway.
Exactly, but
So,
just do it twice because
yeah.
look at these guys. Look what they've sacrificed for you guys. You guys are getting paid. You don't have to leave your fucking homes. They're up, their family. And if you have a family right now, just think about these guys with kids. And then you'll probably come into the, oh, yeah, we'll go. You know what I mean? We'll go. Because don't try and think that the players don't appreciate this shit because after every game, hugs, prayers, all that kind of stuff, which they deserve. And I think this time next year, this shouldn't even be a conversation. I think the old CEO is just trying to get a little bit of, a little bit of things, the public sort of support. Public supports you 100%.
Got our support. All right, so...
And if you got our support, you're in.
You're pretty much in because we're getting
Because
statues,
Volandis
mate.
loves this show.
He's a huge fan.
Listen to it twice a day. It's ridiculous.
He listens to all our old ones too. When I said he was going
Unbelievable.
to stab Greenberg in the back, I went back and looked at that. It's true. So
Really?
yeah, 100%.
It's a lie.
Genius.
Another lie.
Oh, I'm going to play it for you soon. We got researchers on this show. I'm going to get the researcher to find it and play it for
Young
you next
Henry.
week. Young Henry is going to find it. All right, let's go into this week's games. The first game of the round, and this has been, very hotly awaited. It's probably the game of the round. The Melbourne Storm, without the newly retired Cameron Smith, against the last year of Wayne Bennett's coaching. William. It's a good game.
Are we going to tip after, or do we want to go through the games?
We'll go through the games, then we'll tip at the end.
Okay. I think the Storm's going to be hard to beat.
That's almost a tip.
I think
It's
it's
almost a tip.
No, I'm just saying. I think the Rabbitohs. If I was in the Rabbitohs forward pack, if I'm starting prop, I'm like, you know what? The reason why we haven't been getting over the hump in the last 3 years is because people are bagging our pack saying we ain't strong enough. Let's go down to the fucking Melbourne Storm at Amy Park and pump the fuck out of these guys. So you got Jesse Bromwich, Welsh, Kafusi Bromwich, Solomona, Brandon Smith. Everybody's played at the representative level, and the biggest blight on the South Sydney team is that forward pack can't stand up to big packs. And I would take that shit personally if I was a South player. Go down there and try and stamp it with authority, because you can't let this back line loose on a forward pack that's getting belted.
Yeah.
So and another thing and I think you just win games. Like look what happened in 35 minutes against Penrith. They blew them off the field with that forward pack. Big Nas. Oh, my God. Like Bromwich and two Bromwich brothers, Welsh, exactly that same pack. Absolutely going ballistic. Finucane, all these guys were running roughshod. That's the blueprint. You got to stop that forward pack. And then then you just got Hughes and Munster, Addo Carr, Olam. And Pappenhausen. Just put the cream on top, man.
Do you reckon, looking at the Rabbitohs side, I think Jacob Host, who signed from the Dragons, he's playing in the back row. Presumably he's going to play 80 minutes, right? And they're going to, or do you think they're going to move Cameron Murray and move him to an edge?
What would you do with Jai Arrow? They thought Jai Arrow was going to replace Sam Burgess. What's he doing at 17?
Well, I mean,
why do you think? Why would you waste him there? I think personally they've started Tom Burgess because they're scared. Wayne is scared of the blowout that's going to happen in the middle.
Do you reckon Arrow plays in the middle all year? He has
For
to,
sure.
doesn't he?
He's never played on an edge.
No, he's never
I'm
played
pretty
on
sure
an
he
edge.
can, but his best work is in the middle.
Yeah.
Not put on one side. And Cameron Murray, that's what I thought last year. Like, what do you do with Cam Murray? I would have thought that you'd start Jai Arrow at prop, and Totola and Burgess have to battle for that other spot.
Yeah.
And I would personally bring Big Tom off the bench because I think he's a machine, and I don't think Jai Arrow can be that machine off the bench. That would be me, but what do I know?
What about Marshall? Comes on at 9? Or
It's perfect. I think you have a look at most teams. Like, look at Chris Lewis. You can't go, and they're pretty much going off the blueprint last year in the Origin. Look at Pappenhausen. Why wasn't he on the bench? So you're going to have to need that player who can play in the halves and anywhere in the back line. So people are going to have a Benji Marshall, and I think that's why Wayne wasn't hesitant about getting him, because he can play anywhere in the back line, and he can play 9. So you have a look through most teams, they've gone with that, and you see through most teams as well what sort of lock they're going for. They're going for a big guy like Nelson. This is two sides of coaching right now. Big guy like Nelson or a Cam Murray, a ball playing 80-minute man who can just sit in the middle, ball play like an extra 5'8". or you got a big guy like Nels who just fucking folds people in the middle and just runs over everyone. Like, they're the sort of player, and he's got a good late offload, but not a traditional ball player. As we go through the teams, have a look at the locks.
All right. Well, the next game is the Willie Mason Cup, actually. The Knights versus the Bulldogs. That's what we're calling that.
Is that what it is? It is, isn't
It's
it?
the Willie Mason Cup.
Did I just throw that thing on the ground?
I don't know. What did you throw on the ground? Not the Willie Mason Cup.
Yeah, the Willie Mason Cup that fell on the ground. The Knights and the Dogs. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I look at the Knights and go, are they that far down with no KP, Kalen Ponga?
I don't look. I looked at that Knights side, and I've actually, I don't know. I'm not impressed by that back line at all.
No.
And the thing is with it, like, you look at the Melbourne Storm back line, and they take journeymen, they take tradesmen like outside backs, and they turn them into geniuses because they've got a forward pack going forward and they've got good halves. Now, I'm still not convinced that Kurt Mann is a good 6. I think he's a terrific footballer, but I don't know what his position is. There's a lot of pressure on Mitchell Pearce. I mean, that pack's a good pack. It's not a Melbourne Storm pack. Bradman Best could be anything, but if he doesn't get good ball, you're looking at, Tex Hoyt, fullback. He's a good footballer. Stafford Toa, they're just there. Whereas, all of a sudden, you've got Hopewadi and Kotrick. Watani Zelezniak could be anything if he plays well. Corey Allen's an Origin player. I don't know. Avarillo.
I think
I'm changing my mind on this.
I think the forward pack's not too bad. Ogden and Hetherington. I think the Bulldogs will go back to that sort of old style. They try and impose their will on the Knights, and I think the Knights will be up for it. But I think they're just going to go through the middle. Ogden and Hetherington, like Waddell, Elliott, Jackson. Look at the locks. Josh Jackson. That means that he ain't going to ball play. Josh Jackson, is he?
No.
He's going to be going around getting that young Ogden and Hetherington, who's a live wire. He's crazy. But I look at the Knights, and I just don't think they changed that much from last year because of the backs. I'm not sure if those guys can get way, way better. I think they've not hit the ceiling yet, but they're sort of there. Much pressures on Pearce all the time. Like Clemmer, Saifidi, Frizzell, Barnett, all hard running forwards. Not many of them offload. You know what I'm saying? Like Connor Watson, who we don't even know what position he plays. Is he going to get in there and try and be? Are you going to try and cut and paste off your Jake Trebojevic and Victor Radley's and Cameron Murray's?
Yeah.
Is he?
That's what he's
But he's not, because he's not a ball player. He's a ball runner. The dude comes off the bench and just runs. I mean, he's bulked up this year, but he's not a traditional ball player. And I don't think he's that sort of... and if he was a ball player, he's usually playing with his backs. He's not trying to bring Mitch Barnett and Frizzell onto the ball, or Clemmer, because Clemmer and that, they just stay right in the middle. Very one-dimensional players. Like, I think if anyone's going to try and do a bit of ball playing, Saifidi's got to get out there, because he's got good footwork and he's got a good pass. You can start sitting at B and C, and then having like I'll be linking up with Tyson Frizzell if I was either Clemmer or Saifidi, because he hits a fucking mean hole. He goes hard, and so does Mitch Barnett. That's where Connor Watson needs to come into the middle, like Cameron Murray and all these other ball players, especially when you're right in the middle of the field. Connor Watson getting the ball at B and C, and then you got like your Mitch Barnett or your Frizzell on the other side hitting those holes, and then you got your Kalen Ponga usually around the back. And then you can get good shape from that. But if you haven't got a genuine ball player in the middle, forwards are too fucking good.
Yeah.
You come up, check, release, slide out to the back, because they look at Kalen Ponga and they know he's going to get the ball. But if you're a decent ball player, you hit Frizzell or you hit Barnett. You know what I mean? That's the difference between their ball players, and they rely so much on Pearce to do all that sort of stuff. And everybody, it's becoming, I don't know, pedestrian for their ball players out there, and they don't really run the right lines all the time. They get right into this, they get bunkered down and just play boring football and then get to the kick. Boring football, get to the kick, rely on Pearce, rely on Ponga. There's no Ponga there now, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the nine's been out for a whole lot of time. Kurt Mann's a ball runner. I'm not sure if he's going to ball play. I'm not sure. Then I look at the Bulldogs and I'm not really sold on Meaney. Because I'll be sold if Nick Kotrick, Corey Allen, and Watini Selesniak was my back three, and Hopewadi and Avarillo. But they put Avarillo at 6, so I'm not sure. I think I think he's just going to run. If he doesn't see anything on of Adam Elliott or Waddell, they're done.
All right, let's have a look at the Broncos versus the Eels. The Broncos, well, they stunk last year, no question. They're missing Payne Haas, who is having a little sit on the sidelines for a bit. He's picked Brodie Croft instead of Dearden. I like Dearden. I don't know why he got the flick, but I don't know. I'm still not sold on the Eels. We said last week I didn't.
Yeah, I think the Broncos have got they're one of those teams that just want to come out of the blocks flat out. I'm very wary of these kids because they've got nothing to lose. They've got everything to gain. Milford, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where his head's at. Brodie Croft. If I was those guys mentally, I'd be like, I can't wait for round one. Just get me to round one, and then you can turn all that bullshit what happened last year. They've got Kevin Walters, Gordon Tallis, all that old sort of winning mentality back in. So I think I expect big things from the Broncos. I don't expect them to be world beaters or top 8 or anything like that. But teams like this, I think they can really compete. They obviously haven't changed at all, the Eels, from last year.
They've lost Jennings, and they've got Tom Opachik in.
Wanga Blake. Yeah, I mean, I just expect a lot from their core. Mahoney, Dylan Brown, Moses, Clint Gutherson. Everything else you pretty much can game plan for. And, you got big Campbell Gillard and Junior Paulo in there. You know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
You know what they're going to do. They've got their back three. That Brown gets in there as well, but their back rows sit so far out on an edge. It doesn't really compress the defence. So if I was playing against them, I'm not really going to pull out. I'm going to compress and knowing that I'm just going to get at Campbell Gillard and Paulo because they've got no help. And then, I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to play this year, but they're not really going to change that much. No. I'd love it if Madison and that took one step in and started helping their big boys out a little bit, especially out of yardage, because they rely on Sevo and Blake Ferguson and Wanga Blake and Clint Gutherson to get them out. Sometimes they don't because people game plan for them, pick them up a little bit and drive them back. And their back rows just seem to dwindle back on their numbers line, and they've got no fucking help. If I was a middle player, I'd be like, get the fuck in, both of you, for a carry. Please, if it's on your side, whatever side they kick, can you please get the third tackle?
Is this Brad Arthur's last chance?
Yes, I think so.
He's got to be close.
He needs to be top 4, at least making a deep run.
Yeah.
A deep run. Well, this will be an interesting game.
Yeah. I think, look, it'll be interesting with the Broncos because if they have another shit year, then with the new side coming in, it'll be, tough for them.
I'm excited about Jordan Ricky. I reckon he's going to be a gun. Pangai Jr. holds a lot of energy in that team, man. Him and Lodge and Alex Glenn. There's a lot of games in those kids, man.
Yeah.
So I expect a lot. I see some kids there that have not played much first grade at all.
The Warriors, they're based on the Central Coast now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So their home games will all be up at the Central Coast. All right. So they're playing against the Titans. The Titans are definitely the most hyped side. These two actually played a trial against each other in a 12-all draw.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, trials mean nothing. But, look, I think the Titans are really going to have to stand up here because I think with all of the hype and they're going to do this and they're going to make the 8, and I think if they come out and have a dog shit first game, then all of a sudden the pressure comes on them. If they come out and they win, even if they just win well, I think it takes the pressure off them for the next 3 or 4 weeks where people go, yeah, okay. But if they lose this first one against a side that not many people are giving much of a chance to, I think it just starts to build that pressure that they weren't feeling at the end of last year when they went on that run of 7 games. It was like they were out of the whatever.
Yeah, there wasn't much to play for.
No.
Now all the chips are pushed in. What I do see is Fotuaika, Proctor, Fafita, Fasum, Alawi, Tunua Brown, Katoa, Tohu Harrison, Murdoch, Masilla, Lee Snarmau, a lot of Polynesian brothers in this team.
Yeah.
They're going to be played through the middle. And, don't try and think just because of the Titans, they're wearing the Titans colours. If you're playing against the Warriors and you're a Polynesian boy, expect some fireworks. I don't give a fuck what's happened. So I'm excited about this game because I know there's a lot of boys in that Titans team that have got roots in the Polynesian community, all from New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting some fireworks. I'm loving this game. I think, as I said, the Titans got a lot to live up to. A lot of pressure on Ash Taylor and Fogarty, Brimson, all the guys that have been there to run whatever culture they're trying to build and just drive it. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know what to pick. Still with the Warriors, I don't know.
Have you been on Jamil Fogarty's Instagram just to check how his rig's looking? Or
he's looking ripped.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of it. I mean, they got a good side, man, but they're still very beatable. You take, regardless of it, if you take Tino and Fasul Morali, I mean, Fafita and Big Tino out. Look at Herman SAS. He couldn't even get in the side.
Yeah, and Philip Sami too. He played Origin last year.
They played Origin. He's an Origin player. He still can't get in. So that's the sort of culture they're really driving up there. good luck to them. But I think this game is going to be a bash up.
Yeah, it will be.
Because the forwards, man, there's some big boys out there. Big Murdoch Masilla, it's good to see him back.
I thought they'd start him. I thought Bailey Sirenen's pretty lucky to be starting that game. I think
I think they look at Big Benny as a middle guy.
Yeah.
There's a difference. He's been playing lock and that over there in the English Super League. But over here, as I said, the back row just seemed to split. I don't think he's an edge back rower here. I think he's a lock forward. He's too big. He's a big boy. He would have cut some kilos, but I want my big boy like that coming off the bench getting some ball.
Yep. All right. So the next game is my Roosters. They're up against the Manly Sea Eagles, who I don't know. I can't remember I said they'd come, but I've actually changed my mind, and I think they'll go lower than I thought.
Oh, the Eagles?
Yeah. I don't know. I look at that side, and I just don't think they're the sort of side that they'll grind out shitty wins all year. This won't be a side that they can grind out a shitty win against. That Roosters side will be ready to go after the end of last year. But I don't know. They just don't excite me as a football team.
Yeah, I think everyone's sleeping on the Roosters this year. I think there's a big decline coming in there. I just look at those players: Teddy, Tupou, Morris, Manu, other Morris. Lockie Lamb's probably the only guy that hasn't played that much football.
And he was good last year.
Everyone else has played a hell of a lot of football. You got Hargraves on the bench. They're starting Lindsay Collins in front of him, so he must have trialled well because Hargraves has been their best forward the last 10 years. I mean, the Eagles aren't really... I mean, look at Dylan Walker at fullback there because where are you going to put him? I'm not sure what position he's going to be playing. If he could have slid into the centres, but they love Brad Parker there, Moses. Maybe he wouldn't have been inside.
If he didn't look like Hank Scorpio from The Simpsons, would they pick him, Brad Parker?
They love him out there. He actually goes good. I mean, look at that team. I mean, look, their starting team is a team that can battle with anyone for at least the first half.
Yeah.
It's what's happening after that. And I think that's where your bench players have such a big responsibility in this day and age in the games. You got to hold so much energy, and you just got to have that team where when your big boys go off, the transition and not losing much is all on the bench players. And that's all up to coaching. These guys have to coach. The coaches have to coach. They have to look at players, what sort of players they are, what can they bring from the bench. Is he a big name? Am I just putting him on the bench because he's not playing good? Is he out of form? Is he all this kind of stuff? The fan backlash, all that sort of shit. No, fuck that. He's not playing good enough. I don't think he's suited in my 17. That's what the coach has got to look at.
One bloke that I reckon there's a bit of pressure on, and Jason Saab, the sook that he put on last year to try and get away from the Dragons, when he hadn't, he's played, 5 first-grade games? He's desperately trying to get over there, and it was clearly about money.
It was about money, and it was about one of his mates who sadly passed away in the preseason. They come up through. They've known each other since they were young kids, and they prompt that. Yeah,
right.
So Saab had a really good relationship with him, and he moved over because of that brotherhood and stuff.
Okay.
So
all right.
I know you didn't know that, but that was part of the reason. And he's not from St George or Illawarra. The boy's from. I'm not sure, he's obviously a Sydney boy. He wanted to get back in his family, everything like that. So people don't understand that. They just think, oh, he just wanted out. No, there's reasons why he wanted out. He wanted to come over here. He wanted to play with his brothers up there because it wasn't his only friend. And, Moses Sully and that, they're all boys there. So there was a real tight-knit. And
they reckon Moses Sully's looking terrific this year. He could have a big year.
Fantastic player, man. He just needs to be fit. And he's been fit the last couple of years in his machine.
All right. So, next game, Panthers-Cowboys.
Yeah. The only reason we're trying to break these games down because we're excited. And we're trying to give everyone the fair. I mean, if this was in round 10, we're like, fucking Panthers win.
Well, and that's the thing.
Right?
Right? I mean, we until we get a guide of where teams are, then all of these games could be good. But if there's 5 blowouts this week, then we lose interest in these teams.
I look at Josh Maguire being on the bench. I'm like, why? That Francis Milo must have trialled well. Do you go on trial form? Do you pick an old vet like Josh Maguire? Is he past it? I'm not sure. I'd start him. I would start him.
It's a big call with Holmes on the wing. You bring the bloke back from the NFL, you pay him $1 billion, and then you stick him on the pick and swing. I don't know.
Because he's the best winger in the world.
Yeah, when he's in a good side, he is.
Yeah, but
is he in a good side, though?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Scott Drinkwater's an exciting player.
Do you want Valentine Holmes taking like your second tackle hit ups off? You know, is that?
I think he's
what you
suited
want?
more. I think he's suited to that play because if you can just directly kick it to Val Holmes, I think he's a lot easier to tackle when you've got a whole line down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So obviously there's a few little intricates to the game where if I mean like a Billy Slater and stuff like that, it sucked kicking it to him because he could beat you off both feet. GI and Tedesco, you don't really want to kick it to these guys because they can bounce off both feet. Kalen Ponga and all those kind of guys. But with Holmes, he doesn't have a massive right foot. He doesn't have a massive left foot. He's not ridiculously quick. So you could just kick it straight to him and a straight line would nullify what he's doing. Play 2, on the other hand, might be a bit of a staggered line because you just probably, if they kick it to Scott Drinkwater and Felt's side, then he can venture in and he can spot where he wants to run because he's very good at that. What side of the ruck to run, where to run, all these little things that he's just naturally really good at. That's where they'll be looking at. He's better off play 2. Yeah. I don't want him getting bashed on play 1 because as a middle man and former player, kick it to him, bang, get him on that first one. Don't even worry about Felt or Thibaut Fido. You wouldn't care. You'd be worried about Val Holmes on play 2. I'll bet that's what the Penrith Panthers are going, all right, kick it this way, watch Val Holmes on play 2 or 3. You're not worried about anyone else. So he warrants that.
Cohen Hess, I reckon it's not make or break year for him, but he went from being an absolute star a couple of years ago. Last year was a pretty shitty year for him.
I think most of these guys would be disappointed. I mean, Penrith just want to get this whole year off to a good start, get a good win, get it rolling again. But I'm worried, man. Moses Leota and Fisher Harris, they're small front rowers. They pack a lot of punch, but then you got Willie Iain, Kickout, Catewell. Yeah, it's not a pack that you'd be shivering in your boots. No. You're worried about the Crichtons, the Brian Tottos, the Jerome Luais, Cleary, all that kind of stuff. They're not going to be that exciting this year, I don't think. They'll still be good, but I don't think they're going to be putting anything on what they did last year.
Yeah. All right. The Raiders versus the Tigers. I think the Tigers.
Game?
Yeah. The Dragons Sharks. That game will stink.
Yeah.
But, we can probably already call that as the shittest game around. But the Raiders, I think, are going to be good this year, and I think the Tigers are going to be better. I know you think you're perhaps happy to lay the Tigers.
No, I'm not. I didn't realise the team. Like I look at the Dane Laurie, Noah Faluma, Jimmy Roberts, BJ Leilua, and Kepawa. I hope I got that right. I think I look at that back five and go, wow, they're getting out of trouble easy. Because of those big boys there. I look at Moses Mbai. I'm glad he's playing 5'8". Luke Brooks got massive pressure. James Tamau, Joe Offengawe, Luke Garner-Leilua, and Twal. That team can take anybody on.
Yeah, it's a good pack.
And that look at the 14 to 17. It's ridiculous. Like Michael Cheekham has been their starter off the bench. He can't get on there. I look at that. I can't change my picks, or can I? So I think that team's going to shock some people. I think that left edge with BJ Leilua and his brother on that left edge, it's going to scare some teams. Luke Garner, don't sleep on him, and Big Joe. He got let go from the Broncos, so I don't think he's going to be. He's not going to be sleeping this year.
You can't change your picks.
And Big Alex Twal,
they've put him up next to us, so sucked in. Actually, you know what? Who'd you pick? You picked anyway. We'll work that out later.
Who cares?
All right, Dragons, Sharks, don't care.
Yeah, I mean, who do you reckon win? I didn't know that McCulloch was a St. George.
Yeah, look, and he'll add some stuff. Like I look at the St. George pack, and I think, I don't know, how's Josh Kerr going to go on an edge?
Yeah, I think they've picked Josh Kerr at the wrong position.
Yeah,
he's a big boy I think he should be starting prop or lock forward.
Yeah, and
Fuimaono should be coming off the bench.
I don't know. Maybe they'll change it before.
This is what sucks when you're trying to get into the HIA sort of system and going, I need a back on the bench. Because it scared the shit out of everyone last year what Freddie did. Not putting Pappenhausen on the bench. Everyone's going, oh my God, I need a quick back on the because everyone's getting HIAs this year. I mean, not this year, like lately.
Braden Villiamy, he's a centre.
That's what I'm saying. That's a back. So everyone's just going, I need a back that can play 5'8". He can play anywhere in the background, in the back line. So that's why they're picking players like that. And it makes... Fuimaono not get on the bench because all these other kids are playing well. So it fucks up your bench.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Aiden Tolman run out for the Sharks. I mean, I've always said, me and Des Hazler have always said that he was a better prop than you, and he's really He's at a new club.
I don't mind the Sharks forward pack. Hamlin, Llewellyn, Woods, Nikora, Graham, Rudolph, the big Dolph, and Brayley. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
If Moylan and Josh Dugan and Ramey, if they can play some good football, they'll give it a shot because they had that really good system there. They didn't pick Andrew Fafita, so that's saying something.
Well, they've put our tips up. I can't even remember what I tipped now. Can you remember? I think I went Rabbitohs, you went Storm. I went Knights, you went Bulldogs. I went Eels, you went Broncos. You're such a fucking...
Let me read my tips out.
Do you remember what they were?
Yeah. I remember I went Storm, Bulldogs, Broncos, Warriors, Roosters, Panthers, Tigers, and the Sharks.
I'm going to turn.
Pretty sure.
I'm going to turn that bit of paper around so I don't have to remember. And I went.
It's on the back, you.
And I went Rabbitohs, Knights, Eels, Titans, Roosters, Panthers, Raiders, Sharks. I went favourites, I think, this week.
Yeah.
I'm
a very optimistic person, like.
Well, that's what you're calling it. All right. I don't know why I just clapped.
Special optimistic person.
Just clapped. That was unnecessary. All right. So, as we mentioned at the start of the show, bettingsite.com.au are now they're on board. They've been really, really good to us so far, and what they really wanted to do was make sure that we could continue with betting each week to try and get some money for the clubs. So what we're going to do next week is we've got Harry, who he's their rugby league guy, Harry. So I don't know how he's going to go with the horses, but we're really looking forward to working with them. We're going to have a chat to Harry next week, and all of the winnings that we have, which for you is 0, will be handed out. Will be handed out at the end of the year. We're going to hand that out to clubs. So we'll sort of let everyone know.
I told everyone I'll be interacting with fans. So this is what I'm doing, unlike yourself.
You've got the big iPad.
Yeah.
It's
I
a big
know
iPad.
how to work it.
Yeah. And
really.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a bet this week. I'll just read. No, I'll read my one and then I'll read the producers.
Okay,
so
go.
my one is Titans into Roosters into Panthers head to head. It's just a nice little easy start to the year just to get a win on the board so that.
I didn't think like
that. I don't know,
All right.
William.
I think it can win. I mean, my tips are pretty awful, but who did I go for? It was my Melbourne into the Bulldogs into Brisbane with Brandon Smith, an anytime try scorer.
Yeah.
That's pretty much,
It's basically all three that no one gives a chance of winning and then Brandon Smith to score. So, again, that's a massive pay. And again, the whole thing with bettingsite.com.au.
I'll get one. I will get one.
They'll go across all of the different odds and they'll find us the best odds possible. So, which is great actually, because I don't know if we get the best odds for you and you don't win, that's still 0, isn't it? Or they might, yeah. Okay.
I got a couple.
Did you, Will?
On the buy.
So the producer, and as much as it pains me to say it, the producer actually did pretty well last year.
He actually carried the take.
No, I think we were about 50-50, somewhat. He has chosen to go back to the races, Rosehill, the Far Lap Stakes. He's chosen the Irishman in that race, which maybe, do you know what? I think he's done that because he knows I've got an Irish passport.
Yeah,
he loves you. About me, loves me. Who doesn't love me?
I'm sure everyone online.
You're interacting with the fans there.
Craig just went, yes, I did. Craig is watching. What's up, Craig?
Watching. Oh.
Craig's watching from Melbourne. He's at
he went to
he was at a funeral
today.
Whose funeral?
Michael Gudinski, the famous Australian music.
Rest in peace, mate.
Yeah, and we'd like to actually. He was a good mate of Craig, so we would like to wish everyone that was friends with him, and he did a lot for Australian music. And I think, I'm actually surprised Craig got invited because he's a dickhead, but he's down there now, and he must have known something about him. But yeah, we'd like to wish the family all the best. All right, so when we win that, we can talk to Harry next week about, how good we are at this. We're good at it. All right, so The other thing we're going to do this year, you're 6'5" and 116 kilos at Wayne. I'm 6'4" and about $120 after last weekend. But we're going to give, or you're going to give, the Big Boys Award this year.
Yeah.
So each week you're going to get a 3-2-1 for the best big man of the week.
Yeah, I just think we don't get recognised as much as the fast little fellows and the fullbacks and all that kind of stuff. I think guys like big, what's happening in the last 10 years, just the Polynesian just influx and just killing it. The Taumalolos and Takiahos and Hargraves and Sonny Bills and all those players. You don't really get you never get the 3 Dally M's or anything or whatever the bullshit things they give out. So I'm just going to give my best 3-2-1 Big Boy Award, Big Barry's Big Boy Award. Is that what it's called?
That's it.
Something like that.
That's it.
You know, guys like big Solomona and Bromwich and all, they beast teams, man. And anyone who knows anything about football knows that the big boys in the middle, they set the platform down for these other little guys at the back to score all the tries. So I'll be giving my awards out this year at the end of the week. Now,
just out of interest, do fat backs qualify? Like if you've had a big off season,
yeah. I mean, BJ Leilua would have qualified last year, but he's ripped now.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
Oh man, he's one of the best players in the comp when he's fully fit. So he understands that. His best years is when he's like around about 100 kilos because he's one of those guys, man. He's a big boy. He needs to be about 99, 100 kilos, so he's on all cylinders.
What about forwards that aren't that big? But they're still forwards,
like Cam Murray's and Jack Trebojevich's and that. No,
right,
you got to be over 110 kilos.
110.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Well, these guys are floating around at 120 plus.
Yeah.
I don't care what they're putting on in their little card. I'm weighing 114. Nah, you're at 120 plus.
Yeah,
easily. These guys are big boys and they move good. So
that's what people don't quite, when you're weighing in, for those sort of things, there's two types of blokes. There's the blokes that put coins and rocks in their pockets trying to get an extra 5 kilos.
Yeah.
And
there's
then
blokes going on a 72-hour fast.
And there's the blokes with just the toe on the ground just to try and give
That was
yourself.
me. That was all the time. I was like, I need to be, because they're like, you need to be between 115, 120. So I'm like, I was just sweating all the time. Like all the boys are like on the bikes and in saunas and shit before weigh-ins. It's like, it's not good for you. Now these big guys own it. All right, get the big boys out there because they're fit enough, they're big enough and strong enough, and they're some of our best players, man.
All right, William. Well,
we're doing one more?
Do you know what? There's something else on our bit of paper.
You should read the whatever gets sent to us in the morning. the rundown sheet, like I do.
The rundown. No, I read the run sheet. I love Craig and his run sheets. They're good. So basically, what we're going to do this year is let's be honest, you are a human headline. There has been so many stories written about you. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some of the headlines that have had your name in them over the years. And then we're going to get behind those stories so that they're not the actual,
they're not the Telegraph stories or Channel 9's. It's my version.
It's your version
of what actually happened. I'll take you behind the curtain of all this. What's the scenario? What's the headline?
This was, this is a good one actually. So in the Sydney Morning Herald on May the 22nd, 2004. I'll explain it better. He's written something here, but you were at a signing.
Yeah.
And someone complained about the fact that instead of signing your name, you'd done a little drawing.
No, and I signed Craig Fitzgibbon's name and drew like dicks and stuff on the table.
That's the story?
Doodling, like drew like profanities and stuff. So that was a story. I was like sitting here. So we're at Harvey Norman 2004 signing session. So you have to go to that. So everybody at that time was fucking around and everyone's signing each other's names. I'm sitting next to Finchy and Craig Fitzgibbon. So everyone signs different names all the time. And we were just doodling on this thing. That's what I call it, doodling. We were just drawing and I was sitting next to Kurt Gidley. And we were just drawing noughts and crosses and shit and playing that. And the story that come out the next day was unbelievable. This is when the whole midst of the Coffs Harbour shit was done and I was just the biggest fucking arsehole in the comp, according to the media.
Biggest villain.
Yeah, the villain, you know what I mean? I was just like, everything was just like mud, like just little things like this. So this is a perfect example. We're sitting there, everyone's saying, I signed Craig Fitzy, you signed mine, I signed his name, we're all signing different names. We're not talking about people's jerseys that they're going to frame. You're talking like posters of us. You know what I mean? I'd sign my name as well, and then someone else's. It was just a bunch of fun, and we we're just doing noughts and crosses and all that kind of stuff. So and then a person from, I think, 2GB said, "Oh, Willie, can we get an interview, please?" And I knew at that time they wanted to talk about Coffs Harbour and all this other shit. I said, "No." I said, "Look, no, thank you. I'm not going to comment." She got all in her feelings, went back and told Ray Hadley that I told her to fuck off. That would never come out of my fucking mouth to a female or anyone else who asked me for an interview. It was just, "No, thanks, I'm fine." You know, that was it. Got back to doing whatever. After that, next day, Willie apparently told a 2GB person to fuck off. He's signed Craig Fitzgibbon, a kid's crying, and he's drawing dicks on a fucking table. Pretty much that was the headline the next day. I had to go into New South Wales and shit, and they had to take off the tablecloth that I was sitting on and show it to lawyers and shit like that. I had to sit in front of a tribunal.
Did they actually take the tablecloth?
Yeah, and they seen it was just like noughts and crosses and you know, doing little you know how you play that box game and you know what I mean? Like that was all that shit because we're sitting there for 3 hours.
So where'd the Marshmallow Man come from? That's clearly...
And that we were drawing like people, just like a big fat person and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't anything like derogatory or anything like the profanity and all this kind of stuff. All the comments, what a load of shit, man. And I only think of it now, like how the media works. I'm like, damn. Then after that, the hate just grew. That was just one of many things that like absolutely nothing happened. It was just me being me, having fun, laughing around, doing a signing session, doing everything good, and then bang, like someone would say, "Yeah, you told this person to do this and this," and like I was like, "Where does this shit come from?"
You know what though?
That pissed me off, man. And then the reporter who actually like trucked a fit that time, she'd come up to me about 10 years later and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just having a really bad day," and I went back and told Ray Hadley that you told me to fuck off. Like I know you didn't do that. I was like, really? He's sitting on the next day just giving me ammo for about 2 or 3 hours telling everyone how much of a fucking idiot I was. Thank you. 10 years later, I'm retired.
One thing...
Oh, I fucking did my head in that shit because, I mean, that's what... I just didn't really care because I knew what I did. I wasn't doing anything rude. I do signing sessions all the time. Would never sign anything. I was guilty of sitting there drawing on the cloth and signing Craig Fitzgibbon's name. And I got it exact too. You couldn't even see if it was Fitzy's or mine.
You are though. This is an unknown. Like people don't know this skill of yours, and there's no reason why they would. And but I'm welcoming everyone into our little.
I can
tent
draw.
Here. You're the best drawer of cock and balls that I've ever seen in my life. It is hard. If there was a gallery of cock and balls, you would be the Picasso of it. Yeah, so are you telling me the Marshmallow Man wasn't a cock and ball?
100%. Swear my dad's great.
Wasn't a cock. Okay.
Yeah, you asked New South Wales Tribunal. It's. I think it's if you Google my name, there's a fucking photo of what we drew. You thought it was a Marshmallow Man.
Did I at the time? I can't remember.
Yeah, because that's where you vaguely remember it because it was like a person, like a snowman. It's just the most pathetic shit. You think of a fucking 10-year-old that was drawing it, but it was me.
You're a good
and
drawer.
Kids.
Yeah.
It was like because someone had to draw one bit and guess what it was. It was like fucking Mr. Squiggle. We're playing Mr. Squiggle. And I just got fucking absolutely run through the papers and shit. And that was just, I just knew at that time, I was like, damn, I better play some good football.
All right, well, actually, that was good. We're going to keep doing that. It's like Mason's Tale, except you don't have to think of them. It's just... I
don't think people understand last year. I got put on the spot every single show.
When you said put on the spot, to be fair, it happened.
Well, I had like an hour before.
You had a week to think about it.
Not a week.
You did. It was happening every week. Whatever. Anyway, so that concludes the show, actually.
But I'd always forget. Sorry. Like just now.
Right now, you've just forgotten. So what we are going to do every week, we'll be reviewing, we'll be previewing, we'll be doing our bets. It's pretty much what we do all the time, but what we really need you to do is rate and review and subscribe. We've got a YouTube channel now. It's obviously gone live on Facebook, and there's a lot of people watching. I think what we will do after we cut off from the podcast side,
Willie is one of the nicest guys I've ever met, an absolute champion. Shout out to Joel Southgate. Love you, bro.
Yeah, so we'll do that when people aren't listening to the podcast, will they? But we're going to, if everyone could just rate and review, Is that it? What else? Subscribe.
Rate, review,
subscribe.
I didn't realise how important it was, but it's actually important, so do it, please.
Yeah. And so, as I said, we're going to be, after each show on a Wednesday, we're going to actually, for people that are tuning in on Facebook, we're going to come back and we're going to answer some of the things that you write, unless they're heaps rude.
Yeah.
And that's about all. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks again for all the support we've got. Last week was a really good show for us, and we're very thankful for all the support we're getting. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
They'll be following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL is Willie Mason.
I've forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
You've been listening to The Take with Willie Mason and co-host Ian Byrne. Produced by Craig Trewick, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker of Green Room Sydney, and presented by the Handshake Media Network.